Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of how to make a basic FiveM server. This video is going to be about how to install vMenu and also configure permissions for vMenu. I've got the GitHub repository here for vMenu. This link will be down in the description like always. So you guys will need to come over here and download the vmenu.zip. I will do that now. Open that up and you'll have all your files here. What you're going to need to do is extract them. You can use any zip extractor to extract the files. But once you've extracted them, that's cool. Now what you're going to need to do is move the vMenu folder to wherever your server is. So I'm going to do that now. Now you're in your server files. Now you want to put it into your resources folder. And then you're going to want to rename it to exactly vMenu, so lowercase v and then capital M and then menu and lowercase. The script will not work if you don't, unless you know how to make it so you can change the name. Then just leave it at vMenu. So now you will have successfully installed vMenu into your server. Now what you will need to do is exit out of that, come to your txadmin, go to your CFG editor, and then right here you're going to want to do ensure vMenu. So you need to have it spelled exactly how it is in your resources folder for it to be able to work, and then you go save. Now you want to come over to the documentation and find the permissions tab. Once again, this will be down in the description. And now you're going to want to execute the permissions.cfg in the vMenu folder. If you do not do this, then you will not be able to use permissions within vMenu, and it is a common mistake when making vMenu permissions up. So once you've copied this line right here, come back to your txadmin. I would usually put this up at the top, so just go a new line and paste that in there. Then once again go save, and then go to Live Console, and then go restart, and wait for your server to restart. Once it has, you should be able to see now it says creating server environments for vMenu. And this will make it so basically now your server is running the vMenu script. Now what you'll want to do is, if you want to set up permissions on vMenu, then continue on with the rest of the video. Other than that, you'll be all done and you can go on to the next tutorial if you like. Other than that, come into your resources folder, go to the vMenu folder, go to config, and then permissions. Open it up in whatever text editor you want to use. I personally would recommend using Visual Studio Code, but it's completely up to you and up to your preference on what you want to use. Now that we've got this file open, we're going to go from the top and go all the way through to the bottom, and I'll explain basically every permission and what it does. You can also go to the documentation and read up on this stuff if you want to understand how to do it as well, or if you want to do different things. But for this tutorial, I'll just do a quick setup for a basic FiveM server. So first off here, we've got use permissions. I would recommend keeping this to true. There is no point in setting this to false if you want permissions. It'll basically make it so everyone can do everything. Staff only. If you want only staff to be able to use the vMenu, then you can set this to true. For this tutorial, I'm going to leave it to false. From here, I would recommend leaving this on false. Just leave it default. And now you're up to your vMenu toggle key and also no clip if you would like to have that. To set a keybind, or to change the keybind, sorry, what you need to do is you need to come over to the CFX documentation and scroll through here, and this has all the key flags for FiveM. Scroll through and you'll be able to see the buttons here that the different flags are binded to. Scroll through until you find the one that you want, or you can press Ctrl F and search up F1. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using F1. And as you can see here, this is the F1 button, and the key flag number is 288. I'm going to copy this, come back to my Visual Studio, and then I'm going to change this to 288. 289 is F2. You can leave that to that if you want, or you can change it if you would prefer to. That's basically up to your preference. You can also leave this default if you like, but a lot of servers use F1, so that's why I'm changing it here. And the key flags web page will be down in the description below. Now you have come to here. I would recommend leaving this permission because it will disable the fact that people can spam spawn vehicles in your server, meaning that it's less likely to get overloaded and lag out lots. Here we've got ban cheaters. I would recommend keeping this false. There are much better anti-cheats than the vMenu one, and the vMenu one is highly inaccurate, so I would recommend keeping that to false. Leave these two true. You can leave this to false if you like, or you can change it to true. That will allow you to do siren controls. I would recommend leaving these two as well. Coming up here, you can change these. This is under the I believe it's the about section of vMenu. We will just for this do tutorial, and then we'll do youtube.com for the tutorial here, just to show you guys. vMenu teleport, so you can enable this through your keybinds section in vMenu. You can change the keybind for it, but I will leave it to F7 since that is what a lot of people do. I would recommend keeping this to false because people like to be able to spawn in as a certain character, so then they don't have to keep spawning in their character. So I would leave that to false. This permission here will enable animals on your server. I would recommend keeping this to false personally, but if you want animals in your server, just change this to true. So I'm going to do it for this tutorial. Now this is somewhere where people get quite confused about. When you enable vMenu by itself, it will automatically have a mode where you cannot do friendly fire. As you can see here, if you want it to do nothing, you can set it to 0, 1 to enable PvP, or 2 to enable PvP. I'm going to set this to 1 so then I can shoot at other players in my server. I would recommend keeping these to the default. Set these to true. I would personally recommend that because when you use developer tools, it has a function in it that allows you to see people who are hiding in F2 or the no clip mode. So if you set that to true, people will not be able to see the outlines of a PED when you're in the F2 mode. If you are going to use for vMenu for moderation, then you can edit to this if you like. I'm not going to edit it for this tutorial because we will be ending up setting up a different admin menu called Easy Admin later in this tutorial, later in this series. I would recommend keeping these weather controls to default. You can change them if you would like. They are pretty self-explanatory on how to do them. We're going to skip past the permissions part here until the very end. And we are also going to skip past group inheritance until the very end. Now, it's this part where you can do the specifics of what you want different players in your server to be able to do. So, to get an understanding on how to do groups, I'm going to have 3 different groups. We're going to do group.owner, group.admin, and then group.moderator. So for here, we're going to leave these. This does not matter because we aren't using the vMenu staff mode. I would recommend changing noclip to group.moderator. That's what we're going to be doing here. So type in group.moderator. I would recommend leaving these unless you don't want people to be able to spectate other players. Then you could change this to group.moderator, which we'll do here. You can go through and configure these to how you want. It's completely up to you. I'm going to personally leave them to default. And then people also get quite confused about this. Hashtags in FiveM is meaning that it tags it out or makes a comment. So if I was to say, if I was to hashtag this will make it so no one can use anything. Basically, this line no longer will run when you have the server going. So what you need to do is, if you want to have specific permissions for a certain section, is you need to go through and get rid of all these hashtags on your CFG, so then you can go through and set them to what you would like. If you want certain people to only be able to use God mode, then you can do that. So we'll do group.owner for an example. And we'll do group.owner can do invisible for this tutorial. It's completely up to you though. You can go through and set these to whatever you want. If you want to know what these different permissions do, you can load into your server and have a look at what each function does and test it out. So other than that, you can go through all of these and select what you want people to be able to do. Just as a little disclaimer, never, ever, ever set something instead of allow to deny. If you don't want any group to be able to do anything, to do a certain function, then all you have to do is comment it out like that. Never ever do deny at the end of any ace perms that you do. Other than that, go through, set up the permissions how you like. And as I said, go in game if you don't know what certain permissions do. And you can read the little comments that the developer has put and change it to how you like. Now we're going to scroll back up to the top and we are going to set up permissions in group inheritance. So as you can see here, we have an example already set up. So how this works is add principal, and then so you just do that at the start, and then if you do have this line still, what this is going to do is you have group.admin, and group.admin is going to get all the permissions from the moderator group and then give them to the admin. And then what you can do is you can put this up the chain for all your staff ranks. So we'll do, say we want group.admin here. And then we'll put group.owner. So then group.owner will now get everything from the moderator role and the admin role. And that means that you don't have to go through and set up permissions for each individual group. If you need extra help with setting up more groups or you don't understand the concept, you can either look at the documentation or look in the description and you can find my Discord where you'll be able to join and ask for support. Now what you're going to want to do is get your Steam hex. You can leave this if you would like to go further into this tutorial series until where we set up Discord ACE permissions, but for now we are going to set up Steam permissions. So you're going to get your Steam profile URL, which you can get from this page here. Make sure when you do this, you don't have your custom URL on. You will need to delete that, copy this. You do not need to save it as not having a custom URL. So once you refresh the page, if I was to do that now, it'll automatically set back to my old one. Then you're going to want to paste it into vMenu, search, and this will show you information about the Steam that you searched up. Here is my hex code here. Now what I'm going to do is open back up my Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to add a new a new permission. I'm going to paste my hex in there so then I don't lose it when I copy. What you can do is you can go and copy this line right here. So add principal identifier.steam, paste it here. You can organize this however you want. So if I have owner groups, group players. Sorry about my terrible grammar, but you can just paste that in here. Just make sure you always put the hashtag in front of it so then you don't end up messing up your code. So you can get rid of that now, paste that in here, and then you can simply just change it to group.owner. Now, this would have given my Steam group.owner, which will give me all permissions through vMenu that I set up. And it is literally just as simple as this to set up vMenu permissions. Make sure if you are going to use Steam that you set up a Steam Web API key, as you can see on my txadmin here. This you can do on the Steam website, which I'll link down in the description. And as you can see here, I already have a API key here. and you'll be able to type in your your domain name. Make sure when you do this, you're using your txadmin domain name. So for me, it'll be my IP address, my IPv4, and then 40120. But if you have a public server or you have a VPS, then you'll want to do the VPS IP and then the txadmin port, which is 40120. And then you paste that in there, save, and then you go to the live console. Make sure before you boot up your server, you have saved your file. So go here to file and then go save. And then you will be able to restart your server. Wait for that to restart. Once that's all restarted, you'll be good to load into your FiveM and test out your new permissions. I will go ahead and cut here, and we'll cut to when we're loaded into the FiveM server. As you can see, we've loaded into the server and we now have the vMenu. I will not have my permissions because I have not put a Steam API key in. I have not signed into my CFX account on my FiveM client, but you should, as long as you follow the tutorial correctly, have your permissions in the server. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know in the comments or in my Discord server if you guys have any specific requests. If you guys have any issues with your server, once again, jump in the Discord and I should be able to help you out. You can make a ticket or ask in the support chat. Other than that, have a good rest of your day, and I hope I see you guys in the next tutorial. Goodbye.